one. You guys see the countdown?
No.
All right. Well, welcome. If you're just tuning in, this is Conscious Conversation Series with Reg. And this is day 5 of my project that I'm doing. I am so delighted and honored and happy to have this amazing couple here with me today. I am here in the beautiful Bozeman, Montana, and sending lots and lots and lots of love and light around the country because we need it right now. And this awesome power couple, Troy and LeiAnna Bertelsen, are great friends of mine and have become true family in my heart and in my life. And I'm so blessed to know these two. They've been with me for the last 3 years and gotten to know me, I think, on a very intimate level. And we met at a professional meeting, basically a networking meeting, and we see each other on a weekly basis, but we've had so many amazing conversations and opportunities to connect. And with the hurricanes in Florida, I had a couple people that couldn't make it. And so I asked Troy, and like the warrior that he is, he said, yes, I can be on the interview. And I so wanted you to be part of the series anyway. And I was running out of space because I didn't have enough time. So I'm so happy to have you guys. So LeiAnna and Troy, if you guys want to take a moment and introduce yourselves. Mm-hmm. And thank you again for being here.
Regena, thank you for inviting us. And I feel the same way about you. You're, it's family. That's how I feel towards you and just the connection that we have. So thank you for inviting both of us very much. I'm LeiAnna Bertelsen, and I live here in Bozeman, Montana. And what I can say about myself is I'm a mother of 3 teenagers. I've been married here to Troy for a long time, and that's been a journey in itself, raising kids together. But we also work together now, and we have a company that we call Third Force Communication. And really what Troy and I are about is consciousness in our world and how to have conversations that really engage, from our heart and authentically. And that's what really matters to us. Professionally, I can talk about my background where I have a degree in psychology, and I was in K-12 education for a very long time, and I have a master's in mathematics, and I still am very much involved in school districts and teaching in children. So that's a little bit about me. And living in Montana, it's really important to me to be connected to nature. That's why I live here. So things having to do with the environment and how I live in this environment is really important. And I'd say that transforming my life so that I'm aware and conscious in my relationship with Troy and with our kids has been just the greatest gift in my life. So that's a little bit about me.
Yay. And you guys do it so well. I mean, as we uncover today in our interview, there are so many things that you guys have taught me about partnership and about working together as a family and as a couple in business. And it's so inspiring. And I'm just so happy that you both could make it today. So,
well, thanks. I'll let Troy talk about himself.
Well, my name's Troy Bertelsen, and I wasn't born in Montana, but I was raised in Montana and got my degree in psychology later in life at 35. And had been through 2 marriages by then. And, my degree in psychology and LeiAnna's degree in psychology was not saving our marriage. And so there had to be something else. And luckily, we found about consciousness training. And the organization we first started training with was called More to Life. And now we work with an organization that's called Heart-Led Life that we're a part of. And the vision is quite expanded. Having been in the fitness business for over 40 years and working in the film business for the last 20, the idea of having a choice when things happen was totally foreign to me. It was things happen and you react to it. Things happen and you react to it. And so since in the last 7 years, LeiAnna and I have been working alongside each other and training and then teaching courses. There's one that our favorite course right now is called The Power of Connection. And it really helps you get your mind out of the way so that you can speak from your heart. And the heart just seems to know the way. You just get to be different in the situation. You get to ask better questions. You have, a more appropriate response when you come from there. And So it's been quite the journey. Not only did it save our marriage and give us 2 more kids, but now we absolutely know we're going to be it forever together. And we want more people to have this. It's no fun being so afraid in your own mind for a long time. Some people for their whole life. So it gives you some freedom, and especially in today's environment, it's so important that people recognize that the truth really does come from within, and the truth does set you free. And how else are you going to handle your cell phone blowing up on what the latest stuff is that's happening in Washington, or, you know, natural disasters? How do you respond to that without being fearful, unless you know how to not believe what your mind is saying and operate from your heart, and then choose an appropriate action? You know, you mentioned it'd be great to, you know, if we could fly down to Florida and help our friends, you know, get out of there. And but since we can't do that, we can do something by being conscious and listening to them when we talk to them on the phone, and hearing them and helping them be different themselves and be without fear.
Absolutely.
And the other piece about us coming together and working together, I get to step into my best self often, working alongside my wife, because nobody who knows me better than she does. So if I miss the mark by even this much in front of a room full of people, she'll call me out on it. And the course we teach has a communication skill about resolving things like that. So then I get to be the demonstration right there in front of everybody.
And what a better way to teach, right? It's to be the example by living your truth. I mean, that to me is such a blessing that you do that.
It has been quite the blessing, and, you know, which makes every course, you know, unpredictable. We don't know what's coming. We don't know what the people are going to bring, and we don't know what we're going to bring to it. Sometimes something happens the night before, and then we bring it in the next day and resolve it right there.
I told you, the coffee mug.
I mean, it is an aspect of the course that we don't plan that, but it is what happens, because in any relationship, you know, things happen, miscommunication, my perspective, your perspective, and so having the chance to model that in front of people, that it really does work. You know, it's because by no means are we perfect in the way that we communicate.
Our mind would like to think that we're perfect.
If you're willing, give us an example of your consciousness together as a couple. And I love that it is so in your face, right? Because the choice is you choose to work together, and you choose to own up to your stuff when it comes up, because naturally it's going to come up. So if you're willing, would you be able to share with us just a brief example of what that looks like and how you use it in your work or in your retreats? And
boy, and then right on the spot. Okay. I'm always willing to do that. So you want to give us a topic, or do you want us to just
we'll pick one of our own.
Pick one of our own?
Yeah, I'm happy to prompt it, but I bet you guys have plenty.
Well, we could talk about how this morning that I wasn't getting along with our youngest daughter, Moselle.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I wasn't here for that, but we were talking about it afterwards. Yeah. So.
And I was saying that, you know, she was obstinate, and even just asking her questions, what's your favorite class? And she says lunch. And, you know, well, who's your favorite teacher? I don't have any. And you know, I don't like any of my classes, and I don't have any of my friends in my class. And she was just like negative Nelly, you know, all the way through. And
you know, so what I hear you saying is that when you were talking to Moselle and she was saying things like lunch is my favorite class, and so you were asking her questions and she was answering. And what I'm noticing is that you remembering that there's a point of frustration for you in that.
Yeah, I was really angry and finally I just said, you know, it's no fun hanging out with you. I fixed your breakfast. I've been trying to be nice, and you're just nothing but mean to me.
So how is it that you're really feeling when you were talking to her and she was just giving those, our daughter's 12 going on 13, and she was being sarcastic with you, and not forthcoming. You were wanting to connect with her.
Yeah, I was really hurt.
I see that you were really hurt in that conversation with her.
Because, she's stuck in her own fear. And I don't want that for her. And out of my fear of her fear, then I was angry too.
And you were angry too.
And I didn't respond properly.
And you didn't respond properly.
No.
Is there anything else you want to say about that?
One of the hardest parts was dropping her off at school, and she didn't say I love you when she said goodbye, and I didn't say I love you to her.
Mm. It was one of the hardest parts is when you dropped her off and
there
was no goodbye or I love you between the two.
And I was still angry, and now after working with you, I want to apologize for my part.
Now you want to apologize for your part.
Yeah.
I can see you're sad about that and tears about that.
I feel a lot better where I'm at now than I did this morning, though.
Would you like to hear my perspective? Are you willing to?
I'd love to hear what you have to say.
What I want you to know is that I see you and Moselle are very similar. You both have strong personalities and you both want to be heard.
Yeah, we definitely have strong personalities and we both want to be heard.
And I think that what I would like is for her to see in you how to be, strong and how to handle that in a way that doesn't dive into some reactive behaviors. And you can do that. You can be such a model for her. Mm-hmm. I think she's really hungry for that. I think she's really looking to you for that. She just doesn't know how because she's 12.
Mm-hmm. She's looking to me to be the model.
Imagine that.
So amazing.
This is a little bit of how our conversation this morning was, where initially when Troy had said he was upset with our daughter, and I saw he was reactive, there's a part of me that wants to be reactive and say back to him, well, don't do that, or don't talk like that, or mm-hmm. That would be reactive. And I noticed that I could start to go there and I could have that. But instead, having this type of a conversation just is more, it's really about what's going on in here for him. And also for me, that I want to see this, young, almost teenage daughter of ours connect with her dad in a way that's real. That's important to me.
And I really want to acknowledge you both because I had no idea that was going to happen. And I love how raw and real you two are. Like, I think I've shared this multiple times and I'm happy to share it publicly. When I first met Troy, I saw this man. He's like, if you ever meet him, I call him the love gladiator because he's this big, tall, handsome, very charismatic man, but he's solid. Like, he's like, when I think of like Montana man, that's what I see, is like this very strong man. And every time I meet with Troy, I'm always like mesmerized by how real he gets and how aware and willing to just be who he is, and that's sensitive and kind and compassionate. And then I see LeiAnna and how she supports him in that, and she is the same way, like strong and dynamic and this like medicine woman, with all this wisdom. And I love the two of you together because you're so, like, the word that I see and the word that I get is primal, and yet it's not primal. It's like it's raw, it's real, and it's authentic, and it's conscious. And so every time I think about conscious couple, you guys are at the top of the list. You're one of the couples for me because you do the work. And I had no idea that you guys were both psychology majors. Like, I just found that out in this interview. So it's like, Whoa, how cool is that? And this is the work you guys do, and I would love for you to share a little bit about what you're doing in the world as far as business and your contribution to governments and just your interest in that. Because to me, if we can have more of this in everything we do, in parenting, in business, in government, in life, I mean, I'm sure you'd agree there's a lot of opposition to that, and there's reason for that too. Yeah. However, the more that people can see that this, I mean, look at that. That was what, less than 5 minutes. And I didn't mean to cut you guys off. I appreciate that you even went there. And I know how good you guys are at it. So that's why I love that we could literally, you just dove in, and you did the work. Now you feel better. It's like, I want access to moving through, pardon my French, the shit in my life. And if it means I have to go deep, and you guys know we've done it at dinner time, where I just dove in and I didn't realize I was diving into the deep end of the pool, metaphorically. And there's still stuff that comes up around all kinds of topics, but I just really appreciate you for doing that, and not consciously. I mean, you guys are doing it from a place of more of consciously, in the sense of it's natural for you to do that. Like you guys, that's a normal conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. You do on a regular basis. And most people, they have to sit in therapy for 15 years to figure out. And so I love the work that you're doing, because it is so powerful. And so I would love to give you guys a few moments to share your take on even your experience this morning and what you were doing.
Well, so just a little bit of what we do. We've mentioned that we teach this course called Power of Connection, and that's one of the things that we do. And even in Heart-Led Life, we work with groups of people who are willing to and want to look at how they want to transform their lives. And it's everything from a professional perspective to a very personal and intimate perspective. So we've been on retreats, and we have weekly calls. And then we teach this course, and we teach it over a weekend, and then we have another course coming up. We're teaching through Montana State University Extended Studies, and it will be for several weeks in a row. And really the heart of the work, and what you saw us doing, and it is, conversations that we have like this, it is all about consciousness. It is all about how we treat our ego, what comes up in our minds, and how do we actually form that awareness between what are the actual events happening in our lives and what is our mind interpreting about that, and then how to be truthful about that. And that's how we reach that place of authenticity, because this is so informative when we speak from here, but most of the time our brains have us up in here and we're responding from here. And I think more and more the world is wanting this conversation. I see it as evidence all around me that people are wanting to connect in a different way. And I think we just don't know how. I think we just haven't had the practice. And the biggest challenge is being around and finding people to support that, because really the collective conscious is to not do it that way. The collective conscious is drawn towards fear. It is drawn towards, this interpretation and that comparison. And it's a journey, and it's a commitment. It's more than just wanting to teach this or wanting it as a business. It's really my commitment to my own life, because the only thing that I have to give is how I live my life. That's what I have, and so why not live it fully in the light and fully in awareness? Mm-hmm. And I'm not there all the time. I'm not suggesting that I am going, because I'm not. I'm very human.
Ben, you're not perfect. Come on, I'm on a cloud.
But it is something. This is my life's work. Mm-hmm. If I can do this more and more, and this is the example that first I can give to my own children, and then to whoever it is that I may touch in my life, then that's what I have.
Well, talk a little bit about how you've been helping other teachers using this work.
Yeah, well, so I do work with teachers in school districts, and I've been involved in mathematics education, and the mathematics and the pedagogy of curriculum aside, what happens in education is how do we help people be motivated to learn, and that in itself is a journey. And more often than not, what happens and what can get in the way of anyone learning and understanding stuff is the ego getting in the way. That self-defeating kind of conversation about, whether I'm capable or whether I'm able to. And so when I work with teachers, I like to give that awareness of, first as a teacher, what teachers might be telling themselves about how to best help kids, and then how you can model and transform that for the kids in your classroom. So it's all about those soft skills in education, and that's the foundation before you can even bring in curriculum.
Mm-hmm. We're back.
Had a little blip there.
Okay.
I was just going to say, what's so empowering and interesting to me is that, you guys teach the Power of Connection course as one of the you have so many programs, but that one to begin with. Mm-hmm. And I think about what you just said about in school system, they teach math, they teach history, they teach, language skills and all this other stuff, but they don't teach communication.
No.
And there's some things in life like balancing a checkbook and treating people kindly and, basic life skills that are so not part of our school system. And even mindfulness, right? Like how to deal with stress, how to deal with life situations, how to deal with death. For me, that's why yoga has been such a big part of my life, because yoga teaches me how to choose. I don't always react appropriately, and I don't always choose to react consciously, for that matter. I know that I have a choice, though. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's the big key is, giving people tools and resources so that they can no longer lean on being a victim, because that's not serving the world anymore. It's not enough. It's not working for the paradigm shift that we're moving into. And I think we've already moved into that shift. And I really appreciate the work you guys do, because you give people tools, and it's not just you standing up there teaching. You're actually doing the work and you're living the work. Mm-hmm. And that's the most inspiring part, is you guys go there and you show people by standing at the room, hey, we have our stuff too, and you work through it.
Yeah.
So,
well, sorry.
No, go ahead, Troy. I know there were some things you wanted to share about, about the event you went to today. We talked a little bit about it earlier, and if it fits, if it feels natural to talk about, otherwise.
Well, I was actually going to piggyback on what LeiAnna was saying about working with teachers. First of all, were you complete?
Yeah.
Okay. We've been doing some work with law enforcement, and the first two officers that came to our course came back. Their sergeant in charge of training called me up. I still have the recording where she said, unbeknownst to you, we sent them in with 3 objectives. The first one was, is it going to help with interdepartmental communication? Second one, is it going to help with morale? And the third one is it going to help with their community outreach program over the next 5 years? And she said, not only did you hit it out of the park on all 3 of those objectives, but you gave them a 4th benefit they didn't anticipate, which was more connection with their family at home. Mm. The other piece that's been very important is one officer, one of the first 2, recognized right away is what you guys are doing in here is helping. The stuff with the mind helps us get out of our own fear that we're hardwired to from things in our past that could go all the way back to childhood. And by getting unwired from that fear, that allows us to step into somebody else's fear on a daily basis, and for the chances of a compassionate outcome to go way up. Now, we definitely want more of that in the world, to be able to work with law enforcement so that they can be proactive in situations without their own fear in the way, so that they can help the other person, make better choices, put it that way. Mm. So, and part of our work is we work on ourselves over and over and over again so that we create the space for the people that we're with, so they can then start to, let themselves in on what their authenticity is really like. so that they are making choices from their heart and not from their brain. And one of the things that, and then what we were working with this morning was, what the ACLU is up to in the state of Montana right now and what they're going for on a national level. It's so much about racism. There's just so much going on where the inequities are still, they're not resolved. Like we believed, civil rights was in the 60s, but there's still racism going on. And they were talking about education and people need more education. And I walked up to her and I said, I don't think the answer is education. We've been educating people forever, and then people throw in the wrong information, and then that messes it all up. What we need to do is train people to be conscious.
Absolutely.
To not be so reliant on their brain and inhabit this other part of themselves that resides below the neck, and learn how to speak the language of the heart, which is why we're enjoying our new organization, Heart-Led Life. And one young lady we were visiting with yesterday, she says, it's always true and it's always best. Whatever the heart leads with, it's always true and it's always best. I was like, I'm gonna write that down. And that's my definition of authenticity. Authentically speaking, you're speaking from your heart. And if you're authentically listening, you're not formulating words in your head while that person's speaking. You're listening to that, everything that they say, and then you're willing to see what comes forward from the heart when it's your turn to speak.
Yeah, you're present.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge what you just said, because there's a huge difference between hearing and listening.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like we can all hear really well, because not all of us, but those of us that, are blessed to hear, we can hear. And I think one of the things even that I've heard from people, I've learned, not heard, I've learned from people that don't hear, that they're really mindful about the words and the feeling, the essence, and the energy of what's going on. And that's one of the things that I love about I call it the six senses, because truly we do have intuition, and our heart, there is something called heart math, which is an actual science of the heart. And I've studied some of it, and I'm not very deeply trained in it. However, I do love the work, and I've done trainings on it, and I find so much profound wisdom in it, because the heart really does know. And I think what you said, which was, I think the word you said was a compassionate outcome. That's good for everyone. And the truth is, sometimes we don't necessarily see what's on the other side. And, again, I'm so just blessed to know that you guys are doing this work, and that I found you for my own selfish reasons, because I want to do the work. And sometimes when I don't want to do the work, I know I need to, but I think it's powerful. And I love that I met you guys in a business setting, because I think in business and in governments and in organizations, that's where we struggle the most. Yeah.
Well, if you think about, like, in an organization, just a second, in an organization, imagine if you weren't worried about all the chatter in your mind while you're having a conversation with a whole group of people, and you only speak the words that are efficient and effective. There's no judgment in there about have to and should. You just get to speak boldly and efficiently, and it can move projects along much faster than if people's chatter from their mind is getting in the way, and then they actually run it out their mouth.
What I was going to say is it doesn't really matter what the human endeavor is. All of them are based on the way that we connect and the relationships that we have. I mean, whether it's being a kindergarten teacher, or you're running a garbage company, or if you're the city manager, or the aide at the public library, like everything that we do, we're engaging with human beings. And so often our decisions are based on how we feel about a person. Like, it's not even necessarily the content of what somebody is saying. It's based on our feeling response towards what this other person is saying. And that goes, I think that goes through everything, because we're human beings. So even if we think our minds are somehow analyzing or controlling or having the data or, whatever, prioritizing, even if we think our minds are doing these things, it really is our heart that's that's trying to lead the way. So why not clear all this out and let our hearts lead the way? And to me, that's consciousness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I do love that we met in a business sense. And I have to tell you this, I don't think I've said this before. I love that one of the common things you say is the truth is, because that's verification. To me, that's what I do is it's a check on what's my mind interpreting and what's really happening. And I'll use that phrase too, because it is, what's true is. So I love that you say that. Love it.
Thank you. Thank you for that acknowledgement. It really is special to me. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it was a psychotherapist that's also a transformational coach, and she's really well known, and she's been around for a while, and she was talking about something kind of along what you were just saying, which is at the end of the day, there's many times where we meet people and they remind us a situation or an event happens, and it reminds us of something from our past. And it has absolutely nothing to do with this person who's standing in front of me who just happened to show up. And I might think of, oh, well, this thing happened to me like, 12 years ago or when I was 5 or whatever. And all of a sudden now I have these judgments on this person. Yeah. And it's so beautiful how the heart doesn't have that. The heart is just the heart, and the heart just wants to play, and the heart just wants to love. And then our mind is so busy trying to protect us, which is great because it's doing its job. And yet that's one of the reasons that I love this work and I love these conversations, because there is unfortunately a lot of fear that people carry, myself included. We all have it. And I think anytime I can be invited to explore another possibility, whether it's a real fear or not a real fear, it doesn't serve us necessarily in the way that's the most productive. And if it does, then great. Then the fear is valuable and can protect us. So, I really feel that it's important to talk about the fear, because if we don't, we're denying it. And it's silly to do that. I think that's immature and that's not necessarily efficient. It doesn't mean we have to, be in the fear all the time.
No. Well, one of the things that, when Churchill made his statement, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. My best definition of stress actually is a tail end of that, because the best definition of stress I've heard so far was from an MD who said it's the real or perceived threat against your physical body or your ego. And not many of us have a physical threat against our body.
Not anymore, not in our day and age.
Yeah. Our chances of dying a violent death are the lowest that they've been since the Middle Ages. And yet we're so scared because there's so much.
There's bears in Montana.
Yeah.
Everybody asks me, have you seen bears yet? I'm like, I've seen a few. Yeah. You just don't want to play with them.
Right. So
they're really cute from afar.
Yeah. So by doing this kind of work, you're actually, you confront that fear in your mind.
Yeah.
And you actually verify, was that true or false or don't know. And by doing that enough times, part of the reason I jumped into this work full time instead of, working with people's bodies as a personal trainer was because I was seeing people get like their face. They would look younger, healthier, and more fit in one weekend than I could make them look in 6 to 8 months of training and dieting. And I went, wow, this thing about personal stress is huge. If we can help people turn things around that quickly inside their mind to look that much better and younger and healthier and fit, what happens if we start doing that as a world and taking that on so that we actually get proactive to where, our global SWAT teams are out there to, somebody's going into fear. Let's go out there and work with them. Somebody flies in and they jump. They have no guns, no, weaponry. They come with their heart wide open and they help that person with their fear.
Virtual hugs. I love it. It's so cool.
SWAT. So what about the truth?
Yeah.
I like it. That's awesome. Awesome. Another workshop right there.
Yep.
Very cool. So guys, I just want to take a couple quick moments while we wrap up here. Thank you again. If those that are watching, definitely, if you haven't done, or actually if you haven't done some transformational work, you have not done transformational work like this before. Let me put it that way. This is really dive in, it's Life Vest. is the people around you. And what's so cool about the work that LeiAnna and Troy do is that it's different every time. And it truly is designed around the people that they're working with. And I've been a true recipient of that. I can say that I myself was really resistant to taking one of their courses, and I'm so glad I did, because I got to know them on a deeper level, and I broke through some major barriers that probably would have taken me a much longer time to get through. And you know, at the end of the day, that's all we have is time. And so if you want to cut the nonsense and get to the meat of things and just have fun, you know, at the end of the day, it's really a pleasure to know you guys, and it's a joy. And so anyone watching that wants to get to know you better and wants to learn more about your work, how could they reach you?
Well, the easiest way to get a hold of us is on Facebook under our names, LeiAnna Bertelson and Troy Bertelson. And our business is on Facebook, Third Force Communication Coaching. You can look for that.
And there's also a Facebook page for Power of Connection. So
Yep.
that is one of the easiest ways. Yeah, and we can post that somewhere, our Facebook page. We're in the middle of constructing.
We're constructing our own website, but it's not up yet.
Awesome. Feel free to send me a link, and I will be more than happy to put it at the end.
Okay.
And yeah, put a little link, because I have somebody asking me right now to post it in the link of the video. So sounds like people are excited to meet you already. So I'm so thrilled to know you guys. I love you both, and I really, really, really want to thank you for how you show up in the world with integrity and honor and compassion. And you both inspire me as a couple. You're beautiful, and you light up. And I'm so happy that I get to share this experience with you guys. And it's pretty awesome that I get to live in your world, in your bubble. So thank you.
Well, it's
Thank
mutual.
you, Regena.
It's mutual, Regena. Thank you.
Yep. We love you too.
Yep, love you too.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And I'll reach out to you later today so we can talk more about the other amazing stuff coming our way. So business stuff. So you guys have an awesome day, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for joining us today.
You bet. Thank you, Regena. Bye now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.